Hello everyone, I'm Swalesy. So, Heir Apparent, is it any good? Sorry for the delay in releasing the video. I didn't use the cheese method to obtain the weapon, unfortunately. Now, let's take a look and see how it compares to some competitors, of which I have chosen Xenophage, 21% Delirium, Thunderlord and Hammerhead, because why not throw a few extras in there? So starting quickly with the perks, it has corkscrew rifling, appended mag, armor of the Colossus, combat grip and its intrinsic perk, heavy slug thrower. The unique ones obviously being armor of the Colossus, which grants you an arc shield if you have full health. The gun has been fully spun up, and what the perk doesn't say is you also need to have heavy ammo. Heavy slug thrower is a requirement that the weapon must be fully spun up before you can fire. So an interesting combination between those two unique perks, I think. So straight into the numbers, and starting with PvE, DPS. Heir Apparent is a 900 RPM machine gun, which I have tested and can confirm this weapon does actually fire at the quoted rate, unlike Whisper of the Worm. While testing against Greg the Ogre, it does 1,331 damage per round and holds 200 in the magazine, so a total magazine damage output of 266,200. To calculate DPS, I've taken into consideration all downtime, so that includes the spin-up time, which is measured to be around 1.52 seconds, so we'll say 1.5 for the sake of the video, and takes almost exactly 5 seconds to reload, with no perks used to decrease that time. It takes 14.78 seconds to empty the magazine, including spin-up time. So all things now considered, overall DPS for Heir Apparent comes in at 13,438. If you're only interested in sustained DPS though, so not including any downtime, then it's 19,965. But how does this compare with other machine guns, specifically the machine gun DPS king, Xenophage? Well, the short answer to that is it hasn't decrowned the king. Xenophage has an overall DPS of 16,766, so that's including all downtime, and a sustained DPS of 30,644. If you could bypass the reload mechanics like we used to in the Lunar Faction and Rally Barricade days, Xenophage could out DPS Whisper of the Worm, and you can do all that while shooting an enemy in the little finger because it has no crit damage. Amazing. But what about 21% Delirium? Well, this is actually a bit of an awkward gun to test because it has so many different combinations of DPS. Firstly, the magazine can be overflowed to hold double the number of rounds, and it has 4 different tiers of damage due to the killing tally perk, then being damage without killing tally procced, and then the 3 tiers after that, so killing tally times 1, times 2, and times 3. This also means when calculating overall DPS, so including downtime for reloading, numbers change again because you lose the overflow and killing tally perks when reloading manually, which is assuming you haven't just ran over an ammo brick and kept the perks procced anyway. So because of this, I feel the best way to compare it against Heir Apparent is to just use sustained DPS, which is without downtime. So for each case scenario for 21% Delirium, it is, with no killing tally perk, sustained DPS comes in at 14,325, killing tally times 1 is 17,415, times 2 is 20,520, and times 3 is 23,625. So it does have better sustained DPS than Heir Apparent, as long as you have killing tally times 2 or 3 procced. Remember, this changes if you manually reload, and also don't forget you need to use a few rounds at the start to kill adds to get the damage boost back. Overall, I personally don't use 21% Delirium for DPS, but I find its perks make it an excellent weapon for ad clearing. Next up is Thunderlord, an exceptionally good ad clearing weapon, but not so much for DPS. On Greg the Ogre, it did 1,665 per round and fires at 450 RPM before ramping up to 720 RPM. Again, that's something I've tested and confirmed. Time to empty the magazine is 6.3 seconds, and reload time with the Feed and Frenzy perk takes 3.4 seconds and 4.55 without. With all that considered, overall DPS with Feed and Frenzy is 10,642 and 9,514 without Feed and Frenzy, while sustained DPS comes in at 16,386, which isn't bad. But with Thunderlord, you should look at the overall DPS, which includes downtime due to reloading, which isn't good. So it's not a weapon I recommend you'd use for DPS phases. And finally, moving on to the last competitor, Hammerhead. This machine gun fires at 450 RPM, tested and confirmed again, does 2,164 damage per round against Greg. So with all numbers considered, overall DPS is 10,272, while sustained DPS is 16,320. Not bad, but again, overall DPS, taking into consideration any reload, is not good. And that's the important number. So another gun I recommend you don't use for DPS phases. So Heir Apparent isn't the new DPS king. It has reasonable sustained DPS, but if you take into consideration spin up and reload times, it's actually quite poor to average. So Xenophage still reigns supreme. But what about PvP? Well, Heir Apparent does 33 crit damage and 28 body damage, meaning time to kill for crit shots against 0 resilience guardians is around 0.38 seconds and 0.41 seconds for max resilience guardians. Body shot time to kill times are 0.44 and 0.48 respectively. This actually gives Heir Apparent one of the best, if not the best, time to kill values of all machine guns. So, numbers out the way, what are my thoughts? Firstly, I actually think this gun is absolutely awesome. Forget any numbers and maths, it's unique, interesting, sounds amazing, and just a lot of fun. Well done, Bungie. But sticking with PvP, as that's what I spoke about last, it might have a very fast time to kill, but you need to take into consideration the 1.5 second spin up time before you can fire, which then also renders you much less mobile as you can no longer sprint or boost jump, etc. A quick change of weapons to adjust to a situation or throwing a grenade means when you next whip the gun out, you're going to have to wait for it to spin up again. But when it has spun up, the shield does provide a lot of protection against kinetic and some protection against energy weapons. But if it's shut down by arc damage, it does explode. And it does massive damage. I haven't spent much time in the Crucible with the weapon, but in MTash's video, he was still able to 3-tap with a Waking Vigil. Link to the video in the description down below. I do also believe the shield explosion does collateral damage when shut down, so that has the potential to damage any teammates that are in close proximity. Overall, I do think it has a lot of potential in PvP, but only in specific circumstances and if you're using it tactically. And the weapon loadout of opposing players complicates that even further. In PvE, on the other hand, the weapon I feel is far more potent. It allows you to withstand a lot of fire before your own shield is even taking damage, specifically from normal kinetic fire. It can provide those few crucial seconds needed to land damage on an enemy before you need to hide behind cover again. Against powerful enemies with energy weapons though, such as in a Grandmaster Nightfall, I'm not so sure. I do still need to try that out thoroughly for myself. I did only get the weapon a day ago, so still haven't played too much with it, but so far, I absolutely love it. And that's mainly just for the fun factor. It's awesome. I can't see it becoming a part of the popular competitive meta in PvE or PvP, but on fun factor alone, I do think it will be somewhat of a regular in both game modes. I am thinking about maybe doing a second video in a few days or weeks when I've used the gun more and gained more experience, gathered more data, etc. Who knows? Let me know if that's something you'd like to see. But until then, thank you very much for watching my quick review on Heir Apparent. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope to see you next time.
Second protocol in place. He's getting faster.